eyeshadow, eyeliner, contour, highlighter, freckles, brows, all in one palette. Did Urban Decay create one palette to rule them all in warm and cool? Let's see. Hey y'all, it's Heather, and I'm so excited because my order for both of the new Urban Decay palettes is here, and you heard me. Both of the palettes. This is the Urban Decay Shaped Multitasking Palette, and they released a warm and a cool version. I love warm tones, okay? I have olive skin. It is warm leaning. I love a good warm tone, but I got the cool palette too because I want to compare these. I want to show you warm tones versus cool tones. I wanted to try out both palettes because I may love warm tones and you may love cool tones, and I want to be as helpful as possible. Both palettes have this slide style packaging. So you slide the lid up, you get no mirror, and I will say this does feel lighter than I thought it would. When I got this, I opened it up, I held it in my hand, I opened it up. It is kind of a thin plastic, which it's nice and light. It's not heavy, but I do wish like it was a little bit heavier. It just would have felt a little more luxe to me. You have a lot of different formulas. So we have creams, mattes, shimmers. There are glimmers to shape, shade, define and sculpt, layer, blend, and rule bend. I think that's so fun. So this palette does have maybe like a chaotic layout with the different pan shapes. It doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people, but this, it doesn't bother me because there's no wasted space. I don't like when palettes have a lot of wasted space. So this does not bother me. I kind of like this. I like that there's different formulas. I am very excited. We are going to live swatch all of these because you're supposed to be able to use these on your face, on your eyes. They say you can use it for faux freckles, you can use it for brows, lots of different ways to use this. And I like to use my cream sculpting shades on the face underneath my powders when I'm trying something for the first time, and then I will try it later on top of my powders. So we are going to cut to swatching all the creams before I had powder on my face and trying this as a cream contour. This is the cool side, so we'll put the cool side over here on this side of my face. And let's go ahead and kind of like swatch these creams together. I'll swatch these two from the cool, and let me do it in a way where I can kind of put the warm tones underneath when we get to that side. But that is very cool tone. That's like a gray on my skin tone. There we have a shade that's going to be better for me. This is going to be too light to work as like a bronzer shade, but let me go ahead and swatch the other two creams too, like the light and the dark. That way we'll just kind of see what we're working with right here. That's a very light shade, very cool toned. And then here. So these do feel like a nice cream. They don't feel too wet or oily. They don't feel like a putty either. So I would say like, yeah, they're a cream. They're not that cream to powder where it feels really dry or anything like that. So I'm going to take my Sigma Angela Bright brush, and I want to go into my cool shade right here. And then if I need to lighten this up, I can dip into that shade. And another day I will test the creams over a set face and we'll see how that goes. And because I like my creams to be able to work under powder and on top of powder. But for the first try, I'm going to do it on an unset face. So tapping it in just like that. You can see these are pigmented, but not overly pigmented. I mean, I'm really working this into my brush and I'm building. It's always easier to add more than it is to take some away. So if you were wondering if these were going to be like so pigmented that, you know, you were kind of like panicking and trying to take away, no. But there we go. I just kind of put this like here would be under my cheekbone, but then I blended it up to kind of soften it a little bit. I don't normally go for cool tones. What I'm excited for now is the warm tone palette. So let's swatch these creams and I'll kind of swatch them underneath the cool tone shades so we can see the contrast. Let's swatch these two first. So I have my cream shade here. I'll put it under. You can definitely see that's warmer, that's brighter. Let's put our darkest shade there. Yeah, those shades are pretty similar, but this one is definitely not as cool toned. And then we have our last two creams. Let's jump in, and where will we put these? The darker one there. Definitely more like neutral on me and not as cool toned. And then where did I swatch the other one? Here it is. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. Let's put that there. Still light, but much, much warmer. I'm using this BK Beauty Nikki LaRose brush that has a similar shape. And I'm going to get into this darkest shade. I just briefly touched in that other, but I'm going to put this here. The textures are the same, blending the same. I prefer the warm side on myself, on my skin tone. Is this my personal preference for shade, for tone? No. I go for something like olivey and golden, but I don't even normally contour. But I wanted to test out the formula, and yes, you can definitely use it this way. It's not overly wet, it's not overly dewy, kind of a cream to powder type dry down is how it's looking. It's nice. No issues, just not probably how I will use it in the future. I probably wouldn't reach for this. Traveling, maybe, but I like a different tone. Formula, nice though. Now that we've done the creams, I will let you know that I will link my primer, foundation, and concealer in the description box. That is what I started with. That is what I had on before I went in with these cream contours. Now I have set my face with powder. I have used a brow gel and lip products, of course, and a little bit of bronzer because I want to swatch these powder shades now, and I want to use these like to kind of sculpt out my face. So we just have a little bit of like bronzer on. I will link all of that in the description box, and blush. And now let's swatch our powders. I like swatching kind of how I did both, like the warm and the cool, so you could kind of see them side by side. And at the end, of course, I'll show you them all swatched out, but I wanna do like live swatches together first. Both of these palettes have what Urban Decay is calling a glimmer formula, and there's only one glimmer in each palette. So let's look at the glimmer first. This is from the Cool Tone palette. This glimmer shade is called Silver Lake Frost, which is in their liquid highlighter. They have a Silver Lake shade, right? That's pretty. I was curious if this would be like the Moon Dust formula, and it doesn't feel like that, at least when I'm touching it. So Spicy Saucy is the glimmer in our warm palette. So I will try this one. This shade is not quite as light and bright. Let's swatch that right there. That's pretty. And no, it is like an ultra sparkly type of formula, but it does have like a little bit more of almost like a, I don't know, is it like a dry formula than the Moon Dust? Very pretty though. So there are both of those shades swatched. Definitely more icy, white, bright, and this more peachy. Let's do the 4 shimmers in the Cool Tone palette. Let's put our cool swatches right here. So we'll kind of put those like up top, that one there. And last but not least, we'll swatch here. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. I feel like I can see sparkle in that shade. These are all cool tones. So that was from our Cool Tone palette. You can see it's got this gray like to iridescent pinky cover. And then over to our warm tone palette, which I do like that they made the packaging different on these. They totally could have saved money and like done the same packaging on both. We've seen big brands do that before. I love that they gave us like warm and cool on the packaging too. That makes it super easy, like if you're pulling your palette, if you have both like me or you want to get both. So let me swatch our warm shades there. Here, definitely a warmer gold. I'm going to swatch this right here and then right there. Definitely warmer shades. Definitely beautiful shimmers. We have some light tones, some mid tones, and shades that are a little bit deeper. But now that you've seen these swatches, I want to swatch the mattes. I love reviewing makeup, y'all. I love reviewing makeup. It's so fun to me. And I review all of Urban Decay's stuff. So if there's anything they've released that you're curious about, I'll probably have a video on it. I'm going to do my matte shades right here. Those two from the Cool palette. You can see those are definitely cool tone. Let's see, what about right here? And what about right here? Let's jump over and swatch some of our warmer shades. I'm going to try to swatch like the shades that kind of correspond underneath. You can already see in those two shades that we definitely lean warmer. And keep in mind, like, your skin tone is going to matter, like how neutral shades like this pull. I love warm tones the most. I'm very excited, but I'm also excited to see how these cool tones do. I'm gonna push my hair out of my face and we're gonna try these out. Also, since I've done the creams, I have to shout out my amazing husband. Look at these beautiful flowers he brought me. You didn't see those in the background, the creams, because they weren't here. Okay. I just have to be like, oh, I love him. Let's jump into my fear of cool toned bronzers and face sculpting shades more. I don't do cool tone powders, but I'm putting it on top of like my already set face, and I did have on a little bit of bronzer, so I think I'm gonna be able to make this work for me. And if you are somebody who is like minimal makeup collection and you want something that's all in one like this could be your perfect palette, right? Because you kind of have face shades and cream shades and powder shades and all in one. Or if you're a makeup lover like me and you're like, no, I just want to try everything new. I want to try all the new things. I love formulas. Like, I love knowing all about products. Then maybe this could be for you too. I don't like these types of shades on me, on my face, so I won't use them for that. But I do like to switch it up and do cool tone eyes from time to time. So there we go. The shades are blending. There's no issue whatsoever, and because I'm able to blend, I feel like I'm able to make these cooler tones work for me. So here we have it, side to side. It doesn't make like a huge difference, but if I'm looking at myself, it is more sculpted. I have a little bit more of a shadow going on over here. I'm gonna dip into these two shades. These are described as medium to tan caramel matte shades, so I'll pick those up on my brush. You do have to be careful now. Like, let me point out, there's no cover for the creams. So I want to make sure the powders doesn't get all in the creams, because then it can get kind of gross in formula. So I'm trying to be very careful tapping my brush in. It doesn't bother me though, because this type of palette, like I said, will primarily be like an eye palette for me, not a face palette too. But I do want to point that out to you, that you will have to be, like, if you love a big bronzer brush, it's going to be hard to use this palette. And I do like the way these shades look. Like, these shades look really nice over here, though. I could definitely use those two as a bronzer. Ooh, especially for travel. Okay. Here we have from both sides. Let's see. Oh, I can tell a difference. It's a subtle difference. It's a subtle difference. But me, somebody who does makeup all the time, I love playing with makeup. I love playing with different things. I can definitely tell that I'm warmer over here. It just looks like it flows better with me. Like, everything's kind of more sun-kissed and seamless. Whereas over here, to me, it just looks nice still, but it's a little more harsh. I love the warm tones. I'm so tempted to like come over here and like add a little bit of this on top of that cool tone, but I'm not going to, because I want to wait till the end and show you like side to side, right? I don't contour or sculpt my nose, but I will put a little bronzer like that, because the sun will naturally kind of hit me right in there. I want to use a face highlighter from this palette though. I want to use these shades as my face highlight. I already have on the blush, like I said, so we're just going to highlight. To highlight, I want to use the Glimmer shade that has that sparkle. I think it's going to be so pretty. So I've got my brush. I try to link all the brushes in the description box and in YouTube shopping, just in case you're ever curious. I am taking that, I've got that picked up, I tapped off a little of the excess. Let's put it over here on our warm side. Are we ready? That's beautiful on my face as face highlight. Okay, like, I am loving that on my face as a face highlight. Like, that looks ethereal and soft, and you really can't see like glitter specks, right? Like, even though it's a glimmer, until I get up really close and see. That's pretty. It's giving me a wet cheek look, and I'm here for it. Oh, I'm here for it. Wow, that's beautiful. Clean brush going into our cool palette. Gonna coat the brush again, and we'll see. This is gonna be even more intense. I'm just telling you, it's a lighter shade. It's gonna be even more intense. That's cute, right? That's cute. Oh, you see, like it's making my cheekbones pop. My little chipmunk cheeks, they're popping. Warm, cool. Warm, cool. Warm, cool. I've zoomed you in because Urban Decay says that these formulas can be used for faux freckles as well. So I want to do that. I'm going to take my little spoolie. I'm going to go into the warm palette, and I am going to pick up some of both of these shades. I really like when freckles, like faux freckles, have varying tones because they look a little more realistic to me. So I'm going to take and like press on my finger. Now, I don't freckle. I don't have freckles. I don't get freckles in the sun. I don't have freckles, never really have. So we're just gonna try, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna start just by dotting them on like this because that's gonna give me some very light freckles. Very light, you're not gonna see them a ton yet. And those are gonna lay the groundwork for our cute freckles. Now I'm gonna dot some on with the brush. Just, I kind of go on and put them wherever, and then I'll go in and kind of press with my fingers. I've really been enjoying my Satchu freckle pen since I got this one, but I talked about that in my try on haul video where I'm testing a bunch of new products. I will link that for you if you're curious, but we'll just kind of play around with the faux freckles. Let's go into our cool tone palette, and I can always come back and add more freckles later if I want. So again, for over here, I'm just gonna kind of dip into both shades, and then I'm gonna press those on with my finger, and then we will just tap a few freckles on and press them in. Urban Decay says you can also use these in the brows. So like a multifunction product. Of course, it would depend. Do you like your brows warm or do you like your brows cool? What's your vibe? We're gonna do an eye look, a warm tone and a cool tone eye look. I wanna use these shadows as shadows, these powders. So I am gonna put down an eyeshadow primer first to get started. Urban Decay does say you can use the creams as a base, at least on their website. I'm not gonna do that. I'll test that another day. I wanted to test these more the sculpting because I want to test the powders how I would normally use them. And I don't want to use the cream base, and then what if the powders don't work well, and then I'm wondering, is it the powders or is it the cream base? But they do say you could try it that way, and I will in the future. I definitely will. But for today, I'm going to grab a tried and true primer. I'm going to keep the eye look simple. I just want to see the quality of the shadows. So we're going into that shade right there, and I'm just going to buff this shade in my socket, not my crease, because you can see I have lots of creases, wrinkles, crinkles, deep set eyes. So I'm just buffing and blending. And this shade from our cool palette, same placement, same technique, just really throwing that shade on. Now I want to mix the darkest brown matte with the second darkest brown matte from our warm palette. Keeping this over here on our warm eye, I'm going to use it to deepen up the outer corner. Again, we're not doing a complex look. This is a look I really like to do. It's really easy for me to do. I just want to get a feel for the formulas. I'm also going to bring that underneath our lower lash line, just wrapping it back and forth and then blending. And we'll just do the corresponding shades from our cool tone palette. And we'll do the same technique, same placement, same everything. Everything so far on both sides is blending well. I always have to spend a little extra time blending grays and shades like this versus when I'm doing like warmer shades, just because we're contrasting more. So I want to make sure that I blend a little bit because it's just not going to be as easy to blend in like a cool on a warm versus like a warm and a warm. Does that make sense? I'm gonna go back with that brush that I used with that first eyeshadow shade and blend a little bit more over here. I want to go into the shade Caliente over here. This is described as a medium warm bronze shimmer. So I'm gonna pick that up on my brush. So far for eyes, I've been using brushes from my Sigma favorite set. I'm gonna spray my brush with a little bit of setting spray just to help me minimize any fallout and get that intensity that I want. Now that I have the shadow on my brush, just a little squirt with setting spray. I'm gonna start by pressing the shadow off my brush. Press, press, press like this. And once I have that shade all tapped on my lid, then I will go in and I will lightly blend. That's a pretty neutral shimmer. Really pretty shade. Okay. Cute, cute, cute. Next, I'll go into our Cool palette with the shade Pacific Breeze. I'm gonna put this in the same spot. So just all over my lid like this, not covering up the matte outer corner. I think the glimmer formula would be really pretty on the inner corner, but we use that on the face and I wanna use as many shades as I can. So I'm gonna go into this light, beautiful shade right there and highlight my inner corner. Just like that. Just gonna little bit of highlight right there. That's cute, right? That's cute. Now let's go to our Cool Tone palette. We'll use this shade. This one, so pretty right here. And Urban Decay says we can use these as liners. I cannot do liner and talk. So I'm gonna go in with the deepest shade from my Warm palette. I'm gonna go in with the deepest shade from my Cool palette, the creams, and we are going to do these as liner. Gonna put this on, see how it goes, if it's pigmented, blendable, creamy, all of that. Okay, that's like not the best eyeliner medium, but you really can't have a formula that does like everything perfectly in my opinion. But I'm gonna throw a mascara, kind of gather my thoughts, and let's talk about these palettes. Here's the finished look. I used a little bit of Cool Tone liner on my cool side, Warm Tone liner on my warm side for the waterline, threw on mascara, and let's talk about these palettes because I definitely have some thoughts. Am I going to use these palettes as all-in-one palettes for liner, eyeshadow, freckles, contour, highlight, base for shadow, everything? No. I won't do that. I know myself, I love getting ready, I love using a ton of product. Can you do that with these palettes? Yes. I tried all these different ways. The only thing I didn't do is trying it as like concealer, like a cream matte highlight, and I didn't try it as like a eyeshadow base. I can try that in the future for sure, but which do you prefer, our warm or our cool side? I prefer my warm side. It's more harmonious. This is definitely contrast. I'm into it. And I think it was very smart of Urban Decay to do a cool and a warm because a lot of people, they like to pick one or the other. I definitely have my preference, but I love all makeup. Honestly, I may love warm tones more, but I still love cool tones. It's still fun to play. Like, I just love trying new things. I love trying products, and I love coming to you with reviews. The powders feel nice. I really like the way the warm side kind of warmed things up for my cheeks. I really like the quality of the shadows. The shimmers are pretty. I was wondering if that glimmer shade was going to be more like a moon dust formula. It's not. It didn't really perform that way. For me, I think the powders are nice. I do really wish that the packaging was just a little bit heavier, maybe even like their old school tin style packaging. I do like the wave in the plastic. The wave is kind of reminiscent of the original Naked 3. And I wish there was a cover just for the creams so that I didn't have to worry about getting my powders in my cream products. I really like the glimmer formula. This is beautiful. I wish we would have had one more of those, like maybe this big shade down here instead of having, what do we have, 5 mattes then? Maybe we could have had just the 4 mattes and another glimmer shadow, but it's okay. I do like that glimmer formula though, so I would have liked to see one more, like maybe a deeper one, like a deeper shade, especially coming over here to the Cool palette. I really like, I like this, but instead of this matte right here, I would have rather had another glimmer. But that's just me. That's just me, what I'm looking at. That's a nitpicky thing. That's not necessarily like a con of the palette. Is this the most like unique, neutral eyeshadow palette in my collection? No, but it's not really supposed to be that. I enjoy this. I just love makeup. I hope that you enjoyed this. Do you like seeing kind of the warm versus cool? Which side would you choose? Which tones would you choose? Who knows? Maybe Urban Decay will come out with like a gold, an olive, a peach. Like, you know, we could do with more. I always want more. More is more for me. Are there any releases that are coming up that you're excited about that you want me to review? Definitely let me know. I'm gonna pop up some more palette videos here for you. I would love it if you would stick around, talk makeup with me down in the comments. I want to know what you're excited about and if you're warm or if you're cool.